Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, February 10, 2022, and we are coming to you live outside George William Gordon House on Duke Street in downtown Kingston. Today marks the formal start of a new parliamentary year, and we are here to witness the ceremonial opening of Parliament. And as we watch the brilliant sunshine bouncing off the walls of our parliamentary building, we can say truly, it is a lovely day to start the parliamentary year. I am Lorraine Mendez, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our live stream coverage of this important national event. With me is my co-host Theodore Henry, and we ask you to please stay with us as we guide you through the next half an hour.
Thank you, Lorraine. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to those who are joining us on the JIS. Starts the year of Parliament, our fiscal year. All right, so I'm just picking up from there. Now, the parliamentary year is usually marked by pomp and ceremony, and we are here standing on Duke Street to bring you the colors, the sights, the sounds, the general atmosphere of excitement that is happening here. So, as Lorraine mentioned, we are very pleased to have you, and please stay with us. Of course, this year's ceremony is a reduced ceremony. It's a COVID-secure ceremony in keeping with the COVID regulations and guidelines laid out by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Our live stream also adheres to those guidelines. In a few short moments, we'll begin seeing the arrival of dignitaries who are here to witness or participate in the formal start of the parliamentary year. We also expect to hear the government's plans for the next parliamentary year, fiscal year, and that will be done by the most excellent Governor General, His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, in his throne speech, Lorraine.
That's right, Theodore. The throne speech sets out the government's agenda. It will outline the priority programs and policies that the government will pursue during the new fiscal year. And this year's theme is Building Our Jamaica. And we will hear the various ways the government will continue to do this. Viewers, it's important to note that this morning's ceremony will be followed in the afternoon by the tabling of the 2022-2023 estimates of expenditure by Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark. The estimates will, of course, provide details of the amount the government intends to spend on recurrent business and capital projects. These will include funding for education, health, national and social security, or roads, and many other areas.
Yes, that is an excellent point, Lorraine. And we really hope that you will tune in this afternoon to hear how your money is being spent over the next fiscal year. In the meantime, we are reminding you that this year's ceremonial opening of Parliament, as I said earlier, is happening against the backdrop of a global pandemic. Members of the public have once again been asked, like last year, to stay away and enjoy the ceremony on their devices, as most of you already are. Measures have also been taken to reduce the number of parliamentarians and dignitaries who will be attending the ceremony. In fact, the Honorable Edmund Bartlett, the Minister of Tourism and the leader of government business, at the last meeting of the House of Representatives for the just concluded parliamentary year, reminded the public of the necessity of the restrictions.
Thanks for the reminder, Theo. We understand that the guest list has been significantly chopped due to the limited seating inside Gordon House. We are, however, expecting to see some specially invited guests, including Mrs. Sandra Golding, wife of Leader of the Opposition, Mark Golding, Mrs. Rose Tavares Finson, who is married to President of the Senate, Tom Tavares Finson, Mr. Sherbert Filbert, husband to House Speaker Marissa Dalrymple Filbert. We're also expecting to see His Excellency Luis del Salar Dorrego, Ambassador of the Argentine Republic of Jamaica, representing the Diplomatic Corps.
Indeed, indeed. Right now, we are looking at the Guard of Honor, which is formed. Right now, we're looking at the Guard of Honor, which is formed to receive the Governor General in his role as representative of the Queen, who remains Jamaica's head of state. The Queen, of course, is celebrating her Platinum Jubilee this year. She'll be the first British monarch to celebrate 70 years of service, and there will be many events and activities throughout the Commonwealth to mark the occasion, Lorraine. All right, we're seeing coming down Duke Street the party representing the active members of government. Front and center we see Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith. Yes, and they are making their way down towards the parliamentary building. Our senators are
These are
heading
senators because you know, Theodore, that today is a joint sitting of the opening of Parliament. So we're seeing the government senators on screen. Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, as Theodore mentioned, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade.
Yes.
And they are making their way inside the chamber where, of course, In keeping with COVID-19 protocols, they will be sanitizing at the entrance before proceeding into the chamber to take their seats.
Yes, that is right. And, we keep stressing the whole COVID-19 thing. It's something we take very seriously. The parties all around, from the Guard of Honor to the persons coming into the parliamentary building, it's smaller than usual, keeping that in mind.
If you are just joining us, welcome to the live broadcast of the ceremonial opening of Parliament. We are coming to you from outside Gordon House on Duke Street, Kingston, and we just want to thank you again for joining us, and we invite you to share the live stream if you are watching on our social media pages so that others can also join in. President of the Senate, Tom Tavares Finson, and his wife, Mrs. Rose Tavares Finson, are now making their way inside the chamber. Of course, they're stopping to take some photographs first.
As you notice, we don't have a lot of persons gathered at the end of the streets. That's a big part of this tradition. But as we mentioned before,
Pandemic has
things
other
have to
plans.
change. That's right. Things have to change. All right, Senator and Mrs. Tavares Finson making their way into the chamber where they will sanitize and take their seats. We mentioned a bit of tradition. We mentioned a bit of about tradition, Lorraine.
Yes.
And this size, if you've been watching the ceremonial opening of Parliament, you'd realize that the Guard of Honor is smaller this year. But we've spent a lot of time talking about COVID already. We want to discuss a bit more about the traditions that govern the Guard of Honor and everything that we see happening here this morning. The roots of the opening ceremony of Parliament, as we know it, the ceremonial opening of Parliament, can be found in the 1962 parliamentary sitting that marked the birth of independent Jamaica. Now, back then, it was Her Royal Highness Princess Margaret, representing Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, who delivered independent Jamaica's first throne speech. It's certainly a rich tradition. Right now, we are looking at the street liners of the JDF. They have already marched into position, and we continue to await the arrival of other dignitaries.
Theodore, anticipation is high as we get closer to the official start of the ceremonial opening of Parliament. Now, you mentioned the Guard of Honor. There is a difference or a change this year compared to previous years. This morning, the Guard of Honor is being formed by the Jamaica Regiment, which is the infantry brigade of the Jamaica Defense Force, and the Jamaica Regiment comprises members from 1JR, 2JR, 4JR, and the Combat Support Battalion. You will also see the colors, or what looks like flags. They're right there on your screen.
Yes.
There is the one that resembles the Jamaican flag, that is the Queen's color, and then there is the Jamaica Regiment's color. This is new. It was unveiled November last year.
So, a color, Laurie.
Yes.
You said colors and you said flags, and
Right.
I just want to dig into that a little bit. A color is the official ceremonial flag of a military unit, so it's not a national flag like we're used to. The color that resembles the Jamaican flag that you mentioned is in fact known as the Queen's color, symbolizing the monarch as Jamaica's head of state.
And these flags or colors, they are trimmed with gold fabric, and they display the formation's insignia. So just now we saw a close-up of the Jamaica Regiment's color, and colors are a representation of pride, identity, and ethos for each formation. There it is. That is the Queen's color, resembling the Jamaican flag. We see the gold trim.
Yes, yes. I just have to say, the street liners, the Guard of Honor, they are resplendent in their scarlet jackets. All right, we're witnessing another arrival.
The Commissioner of Police, Major General Anthony Anderson.
Now, he has served as Jamaica's police commissioner since March 2018. Of course, prior to being police commissioner, Major General Anderson had a distinguished military career in the Jamaica Defense Force spanning 34 years, culminating in his 6-year tenure as Chief of Defense Staff. So, following the police commissioner's arrival, we expect the arrival of the Chief of Defense Staff, Rear Admiral Antoinette Weems Gorman. So,
when she arrives, she will head straight to the saluting dais, where she will receive a sword. She will glance over and have a quick look at her to ensure everything is in place and ready to receive the Governor General.
Her troops, Lorraine.
Yes.
Tell me a bit more about that.
Yes, Theodore. So Antoinette Weems Gorman she was officially appointed to the position of Chief of Defense Staff on January 20, 2022. And she is only the second woman in history to command a national military. And she also has the distinction of being the only current female military chief. She's indeed a phenomenal leader, Theodore, well as head of the Jamaica Defense Force.
Absolutely. A bit of her backstory. She's a career officer with the JDF whose 29 years of service has been characterized by groundbreaking achievements, exceptional command, and an indomitable spirit. Lorraine, you mentioned that she is the first in history. Well, let's bring it home. She's the first woman to serve as Chief of Defense Staff for the JDF as well. So a lot of firsts happening here. And I believe we are seeing the arrival right now. All of this is carefully staged and carefully choreographed in a historic district, Duke Street. The Chief of the Defense Staff has arrived, and just to remind you, she's now heading to the saluting dais,
where she will receive the sword salute
and do a brief inspection.
Yes,
of her troops.
Just ensure that everything is in place. And Theodore, I really feel a sense of pride knowing that Jamaica, our little island, has the only current female military chief in the world.
That's right. We invite you to take in the spectacle. This is a bit of Jamaican tradition and history which we don't see as often as we would like. It's very interesting to see all that has been laid out and what it all means.
Rear Admiral Weems Gorman has 29 years of service in the Jamaica Defense Force, as you mentioned, Theodore. In January 2020, she assumed the post of Force Executive Officer with the responsibility to provide strategic guidance to the force in support of the transformational vision of the then Chief of Defense Staff. As the Force Executive Officer, she formulated and directed force policies whilst coordinating all the staff branches responsible for the daily operation of the JDF. And she served the JDF distinguishably in several capacities. Her excellence in service and management resulted in her becoming the first and only woman to attain a flag rank. Her aptitude to embrace efficiency and break barriers was also evidenced in her roles as Brigade Commander, Maritime Air and Cyber Command, that's 2018-19, and Commanding Officer of the Coast Guard from 2013 to 2018.
Yes, yes. We're seeing a ripple coming down the street. The streetliners, the JDF regiment, has taken and assumed a position. And coming down the street, we see officers mounted on horseback. All right, mounted escorts accompanied the Governor General, and he is now going to make his way onto the red carpet. He will step up to the saluting dais so that he can be seen by all.
The Governor General will receive the royal salute. We'll see the color ensign salute the Governor General with what appears to be flags. So he was met by Chief of Defense Staff Rear Admiral Antoinette Weems Gorman, and she is taking him over where he will receive the royal salute.
As he makes his way down the red carpet, just a bit of information. Under the Jamaican Constitution, the Parliament of Jamaica consists of Her Majesty the Queen, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. In the absence of the Queen herself, Her Majesty's representative in Jamaica is the Governor General. Now we want you to watch carefully this part of the ceremony, full of significance and meaning.
Royal salute! Present! Out!
And there you have it. The Governor General has just received the royal salute. The color ensigns salute the Governor General with what appears to be flags, but in fact they are called colors. And the color at this point, and it appeared that the national flag is touching the ground, which would be a breach of the flag code for the national flag. But as we explained before, what appears to be the national flag is actually the Queen's color. It's in the design format of our national flag, and it did touch the ground as a sort of supreme compliment to the head of state, or in this case, the standing representative of the head of state, who is the Governor General.
Yes, they really are looking very magnificent in their scarlet tunics. Now, if you look closely, you'll realize that the guards of honor are placed in a specific formation. We've been seeing that all morning. The right half, or the guard commander, stands to the front. The Then in the center, with the color party, that's where the flags were, what looked like flags, that's where they were. Then to the left, there were others with what we call the subaltern of the guard.
The Governor General is now inspecting the Guard of Honor. Today's Guard Commander is Major Clinton Brown, and the subaltern of the Guard is Captain Conrad Taylor.
Today's color ensigns are Captain Melbourne Williams and Captain Karen Fairman Speed.
The conducting warrant officer is Warrant Officer Class 2 O'Neill Blidgen. Right guide is Warrant Officer Class 2 Ronald Williams, while left guide is Staff Sergeant Christopher Anderson.
The escorts to the colors are Staff Sergeant Coolan Nemhard, Sergeant Robert Walker, and Sergeant Dwight Ferguson. We also need to identify the persons behind the music, which we've been hearing all morning.
Yes, Theodore. Director of Music is Lieutenant Raphael Salazar. Bandmaster is Warrant Officer Class 1 Paul Johnson, and the drum major is Staff Sergeant Ramoy Dawkins. They also oversaw the music of last year's ceremonial opening.
I can imagine how many hours were spent rehearsing for this occasion until they got it just right. We salute them for their consistency and for bringing beauty, especially when we heard the anthem, the beauty and the color that they bring to this occasion.
After inspecting the Guard of Honor, the Governor General is actually going to receive a second royal salute, after which he will be escorted into the chamber in Parliament, where it's a joint sitting of both houses of Parliament. Both the House of Parliament and the Senate will be sitting today. After the second royal salute,
Jamaica, land we love. Lorraine, you mentioned that the Governor General will now be heading inside Gordon House, but we haven't heard the last of the band. There will be a flourish of trumpets played to signal his arrival inside Gordon House.
Okay, police officers can go where you want. Somewhere. Come on, push go, push. Stand by.
the Prime Minister, accompanied by members of Parliament, are making their way.
General. Just pull this away from the sleeves. Push this to the side.
Leaders of nations are appointed to exercise authority according to your wisdom and justice, so that laws are enacted and judgments are decreed to be rightly administered without prejudice or favor. Therefore, Almighty and eternal God, give courage, strength, and grace to the members of both houses of Parliament, that according to their sworn commitment, they will act to build for Jamaica a nation based on good order, justice, and peace. Therefore, grant your spirit of counsel and fortitude to our Governor General, His Excellency, Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, our Prime Minister, Most Honorable Andrew Holness, the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Mark Golding, and the President of the Senate, Honorable Thomas Tavares Finson. These leaders exercise stewardship by presiding and directing the order of business in collaboration with the men and women who meet in the Parliament to present, deliberate, and conclude on matters related to the governance of our nation. May they together seek, rely, and have confidence that inspiration from your holy and divine wisdom, when sought with sincerity, will be theirs to guide them. Lord, the support staff of this Parliament are notable, indispensable facilitators of the proceeding and business conducted in the Houses of Parliament. Grant them the energy, foresight, and devotion to duty that will enable accurate and smooth conduct of proceedings. For our judiciary and the legal fraternity, grant insight for the interpretation and application of laws passed by this Parliament in accord with the Constitution and rights of our citizens. For our security forces, protect them from all danger, and may they serve and protect and act with loyalty in service of the people of our nation. Your mercies and blessings we implore, O Lord, so that Jamaica, under God, will increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in the advancement of the whole human race. Amen.
Please be seated.
A proclamation under the Constitution of Jamaica by His Excellency the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Linton Allen, Member of the Order of the Nation, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Order of Distinction, Knight of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Governor General of Jamaica. Whereas it is provided by subsection 1 of section 63 of the Constitution of Jamaica that each session of Parliament of Jamaica shall be held at such place and shall commence at such time as the Governor General may by proclamation appoint. And whereas it is expedient that a session of the Parliament of Jamaica should be held at such place and commence at such time I shall hereinafter appear. Now, therefore, I, Patrick Linton Allen, Member of the Order of the Nation, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Order of Distinction, Knight of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Governor General of Jamaica, in exercise of the power conferred on me by subsection 1 of section 63 of the Constitution of Jamaica, do hereby proclaim and make known that a session of the Parliament of Jamaica shall be held at George William Gordon House in the parish of Kingston, commencing at 11 a.m. on the 10th day of February 2022. Given under my hand and the broad seal of Jamaica at King's House, this 4th day of February in the year of our Lord 2022, and the 70th year of the reign of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. God save the Queen.
Mr. President, and members of the Senate, Madam Speaker, and members of the House of Representatives. I am pleased to present the throne speech representing my government's plans and programs for the 22-23 parliamentary year. Under the theme, Building Our Jamaica, Peace, Opportunity, and Prosperity. Honorable members, this year is our 60th year of independence. As we celebrate, let us honor the contributions and the heroic sacrifices of those who laid the foundation on which we continue to build. Our 60 years of political independence have had many challenges, but Jamaica remains a strong, resilient, democratic, and free nation with huge potential and opportunities to build our peace and prosperity. Jamaica has made significant strides in key measures of human development in health, shelter, social protection, education, infrastructure, and public administration since our independence. Internationally, Jamaica is a respected voice in the community of nations, and we have a strong brand and place in popular culture. One area of national success over the past decade is the significant progress made in strengthening the management of our economy and entrenching macroeconomic stability through a series of unprecedented legislative and institutional reform. Our ability to withstand the COVID-19 pandemic, the worst global health economic crisis in 100 years, is the most tangible evidence of Jamaica's resilience and how far we have come in our quest for economic independence. As we move into the next phase of our journey as an independent nation, our government is already laying the foundation to build a Jamaica of peace, opportunity, and prosperity. Honorable members, the recovery effort from the pandemic will take all hands on deck. The government will lead the engagement of all its critical partners to craft a new social partnership for strong recovery and sustainable development. The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the critical importance of establishing the unique identity of each citizen to provide efficient, timely, and targeted services by the government. With the passage of the National Identification and Registration Act, the implementation of the National Identification System, NIDS, is now fully underway. This is a critical milestone in our digital transformation. In this, our 60th year, we will pass the associated regulations for the Act and issue our first national identification card. The Culture, Health, Arts, Sports and Education Chase Fund was proactive in the health and education sectors through key interventions such as the acquisition of a genome sequencer, enabling us to test for variants of the corona and other viruses. Honorable members, the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission has delivered a well-studied report on a roadmap of recommendations for fundamental transformation of education. An Education Transformation Oversight Committee, ETOC, comprising key stakeholders, including the opposition, will be responsible for monitoring and publicly reporting on the progress of implementation. In our 60th year as an independent nation, we must commit to the transformation of our education system to provide our children with 21st century skills in science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, STEAM. It is the best route to secure peace, opportunity, and prosperity for our people. Last month saw the switching on of the first digital television transmitter in Jamaica using the ATSC 3.0 standard, making Jamaica the third country in the world to adopt this standard. This marks the beginning of a revolutionary change in how Jamaica consumes television services. Our progress towards a truly digital society is well on the way, and a digital switchover is essential to achieving that ultimate goal. Housing continues to be a major priority of the government. The National Housing Trust, NHT, wrote 6,924 loans with a value of $24.1 billion between April 2021 and December 2021, and is on course to write over 8,000 loans by the end of the financial year. The NHT currently has 12,019 housing solutions under construction, in addition to 24,500 housing solutions in planning across the island. Members, in building a nation of peace, opportunity, and prosperity, the government has been taking significant steps at bolstering Jamaica's economic resilience. In July 2021, Jamaica, supported by the World Bank, launched a historic catastrophe bond, CAT bond, becoming the first Caribbean country and the second small island developing state, SIDS, to independently sponsor such a bond. The instrument provides financial protection of up to US $185 million against losses from named storms for 3 Atlantic tropical cyclone seasons, ending in December 2023. In May 2021, Jamaica acceded to the International Convention on the Simplification and Harmonization of Custom Procedures, known as the Revised Kyoto Convention. This is a blueprint for modern and efficient custom procedures in the 21st century and will facilitate full streamlining of processes and procedures. The government will begin implementation of a comprehensive restructuring of public sector compensation. This will simplify the current complicated 325 salary scales and eliminate most of the 185 allowances, so that in most cases compensation will consist of a salary payment only, while ensuring that no one is worse off. This allows for full transparency while ensuring that jobs are adequately compensated. The Bank of Jamaica will roll out our own digital Jamaican dollar in 2022 after a successful pilot program during 2021. This will serve as a foundation for Jamaica's digital payments architecture and will facilitate greater financial inclusion, increase transaction velocity, while reducing the cost of banking for the Jamaican people. This is a big step in building a nation of peace, opportunity, and prosperity. Our economy is recovering with 7 to 9% growth projected for the fiscal year ending March 2022, and employment continues its steady recovery. This resilience to the external shock of the pandemic is due in part to the integral and collaborative nature of the regulatory, development, and support functions of the government in securing the sustainable balance between our natural assets and our economic priorities, which is essential for our peace, opportunity, and prosperity. The government has been moving forward with implementation of a number of large infrastructure projects. The Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project is at an advanced stage of implementation. Construction has begun on a Construction has begun on a 4-lane roadway from Harborview to Yallas and on 10 of the planned 15 construction packages. Master planning and design for the Morant Bay Urban Center have been completed and loan financing secured. This integrated town center and commercial complex, along with the highway improvements, will be a game changer for the people of St. Thomas. Honorable members, you will be pleased to know that work on construction of Jamaica's new Houses of Parliament will commence during this, our 60th year of independence. The 20,000 square foot Kingston Logistic Park, located on lands contiguous to the Kingston Container Terminal, has been completed. This is part of the government's overall plan to establish Jamaica as a global logistic hub. The process of divestment of the lands under the Greater Bernard Lodge Development Project is underway. Water and sewer infrastructure is being installed and housing developments have already begun. The intention is to create a sustainable integrated township that is vibrant and resilient and provides opportunity for affordable housing, modern living, and access to jobs and amenities. In December 2021, the government gazetted the order designating the Black River landscape and seascape in St. Elizabeth as a protected area under the Natural Resources Conservation Act. This will help to preserve the natural and cultural heritage of the area. The long-awaited gazetting of the Cockpit Country Protected Area boundaries will be brought to Parliament in this legislative year. Additionally, The government will promulgate new legislation to enable the creation and regulation of a national protected areas system that is representative of Jamaica's ecological and cultural heritage. The legislation will include harmonized provisions for management of private lands in protected areas under a new comprehensive statute. In building a nation of peace, opportunity, and prosperity, the security of our citizens is of paramount importance. The government is significantly expanding capacity of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, by increasing the intake, training, and development of personnel from the current average of approximately 500 to 1,500 annually. Existing infrastructure is also being upgraded with over 100 police facilities renovated and 8 new facilities constructed since the commencement of Project Rock, that is, rebuild, overhaul, and construct. The government is modernizing our law enforcement and criminal justice systems by increasing reliance on forensic science to investigate crimes and secure convictions. Ground was broken in November 2021 for the construction of the country's first forensic pathology autopsy suite. This is the final component of the upgrading of the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine to a world-class forensic pathology unit. The new electronic traffic ticket management systems, TTMS, will enhance public order and safety by ensuring that tickets and related information will be accurate and readily available to support the efficient enforcement of fines and penalties. The strategic investments that have been made in the security infrastructure of the country have had a significant impact on major crimes. Overall, the incidence of major crimes declined by 51% from 10,711 in 2011 to 5,222 in 2021. However, our homicide rate remains unacceptably high, and gunmen and gangs continue to threaten our peace and safety. In addition to other strategies to combat crime and violence, the government has rolled out a targeted Operation Get Every Legal Gun. It includes, but is not limited to, special operations by the security forces and a reward system. The enhanced security measures implemented by the government have shown success in 7 vulnerable communities currently that are declared as ZOSAs, or Zones of Special Operation. Cumulative incidents of murders declined by 63% and shootings declined by 77%. Similarly, murders decreased by an average of 42% and shootings decreased by an average of 43% under states of public emergency, SOEs. Notably, murders increased an average of 42% and shootings increased by an average of 35% after discontinuation of the SOEs. The recent passage of the Criminal Administration Suppression of Criminal Organizations Amendment Act is geared toward dismantling gangs, depriving them of their illicit wealth, and prosecuting their facilitators and benefactors. Since its passage, there have been 39 convictions involving 11 accused persons. Additionally, amendments were passed to the Corrections Act and the Trafficking in Persons Act, Prevention, Suppression, and Punishment Amendment Act. As a matter of priority, the government is pressing ahead with the development of several new and revised legislation. These include 1. The Firearms Prohibition, Restriction and Regulation Bill, which will be tabled today. A review of the Corrections Act, development of Enhanced Security Measures Bill. 4. Development of Security Personnel Integrity Bill. And 5. Development of a National Intelligence and Security Bill. Honorable members, the government has continued its effort to mitigate the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Several field hospitals were established which increased the bed complement and capacity of the health system to provide care for COVID-19 cases. Vaccination is available through established sites, mobile units, blitzes, and private providers. The government has continued its multi-pronged strategy to tackle non-communicable diseases, NCDs, by improving management and access to services and reducing behavioral risk factors such as tobacco use, unhealthy diets, and physical inactivity. In our 60th year of independence, the government will commence the largest healthcare infrastructure development undertaken since independence. The plan, which is being jointly funded by the European Union and the Inter-American Development Bank, will see upgrades will be upgraded. The health centers to be upgraded are Greater Portmore, St. Jago Park, Old Harbor, St. Anne's Bay, Ocherius, Brownstown, Maypen East, Maypen West, Moko Health Centers, and the Chapelton Community Hospital. In addition, upgrading of the building and equipment at the University Hospital of the West Indies is in the design phase, and build-out work continues at Cornwall Regional Hospital and the Western Children and Adolescent Hospital. Honorable members, during the last year, the pandemic continued its relentless destruction and disruption of the education sector. However, we are steadily and safely returning more of our students to face-to-face classes. The government has launched a major initiative called Yard to Yard Find a Child to identify and re-engage students who did not access any of the learning modalities. The pandemic accelerated the government's plan to provide access to technology for all students. The government's procurement efforts, the Own Your Own Device, OYOD program, and the One Laptop or Tablet per Child initiative together provided approximately 150,000 devices to enable virtual learning. This enormous push benefited students on the PATH program and other needy families. As we seek to develop creators rather than mere consumers of technology, the government has commenced a phased rollout of the coding in primary and secondary schools, starting with our teachers. The long overdue Jamaica Teaching Council bill was finally tabled in Parliament. The bill seeks to bring structure and standards to teaching. Work is also advancing on amendments to the Education Act, the Children Adoption of Amendment Bill, and the Child Care and Protection Amendment Bill. Honorable members, tourism continued its remarkable recovery in 2021, recording 3 consecutive quarters of growth. The 2021 calendar year ended with a strong showing of over 1.6 million visitors and US $2 billion in earnings. The industry's success can be attributed to strong collaboration between public and private sectors in implementing the tourism COVID-19 recovery framework. A tourism vaccination task force was also established to drive vaccination of the island's 170,000 tourism workers. To date, there is an average 70% vaccination rate among tourism workers. Jamaica has emerged as a global leader in advancing tourism resilience and sustainability through the successful establishment of the Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center, the Resilient Corridor, and world-leading COVID-19 health and safety protocols, which have been guideposts to the safe and secure recovery of tourism. On February 17, 2022, at the World Expo in Dubai, Jamaica will, in partnership with the Global Tourism Entity, launch the first Global Tourism Resilience Day to be observed annually. Despite the pandemic, there is unprecedented investor interest in hotel and resort development, with 8,000 new hotel rooms in varying stages of development and planning. The long-awaited Tourism Workers Pension Scheme, TWPS, to provide a financial safety net was launched in January 2022. And so far, 10,000 workers have registered, and the fund has earned $43 million. Honorable members, despite the challenge of the pandemic, annual production of domestic crops grew by 10.4% in 2021 and in 2021 over 2020. This growth is due to continuous recovery activities implemented throughout the year to combat both climate change and COVID-19 impacts. Export expanded in financial year 2021-2022 through increased penetration in new and underutilized markets. For example, Jamaica pineapples enter the Barbadian market, and local soft fruits have easier access to the UK market. The government is committed to investing in our farmers and fisherfolk. Under the Production Incentive Program, over 19,000 farmers were impacted through training and provision of inputs. In addition, beg your pardon. In addition, access to water continued to be a critical part of the program through rehabilitation and construction of reservoirs and distribution of water irrigation kits. The Farm Roads Rehabilitation Program has completed an additional 18 farm roads valuing $205 million across the island. This program has produced a total of 246 roads over 200 kilometers, impacting over 5,000 farmers. The Agro-Investment Corporation Amendment Act 2021 was passed, repealing the Agricultural Marketing Act and incorporating all its functions under the Agro-Investment Corporation. For financial year 2022-23, the legislative agenda includes the following. 1, repeal of the Plant Quarantine Act and enactment of the Plant Health Act. And 2, amendment to the Agricultural Produce Act. Honorable members, in financial year 2021 to 2022, the government enacted critical legislation such as the Trademark Amendment Act 2021, the Companies Amendment Act 2021, and the Agricultural Loan Societies and Approved Organizations Regulations 2021. Effective March 27, 2022, Jamaica will accede to the Madrid Protocol following the passage of the Trademarks Act in May 2021. This will facilitate international registration of trademarks in up to 126 countries through a single application filed with the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office. As we continue to strengthen our laboratory capacity, including for COVID-19 testing, Jamaica National Agency for Accreditation, the only internationally recognized accreditation body in the English-speaking Caribbean, continues to provide the assurance that people seek. During the financial year 2022-2023, the following legislative priorities will be pursued. 1, amendments to the Companies Act to strengthen the disclosure of information relating to the beneficial ownership of companies in accordance with the Financial Action Task Force standards to counter money laundering and terrorism financing. 2, the Insolvency Amendment Bill to allow for the rehabilitation of businesses where possible and the prevention of insolvency. 3, the Dangerous Drugs, Cannabis Import, Export, Transit, and Transshipment Regulations to facilitate the growth of the cannabis industry for medical, therapeutic, and scientific purposes by creating a legal framework for import, export, transit, and transshipment in the industry. Honorable members, investment in science, technology, and innovation is essential for economic development and social progress. The Science, Technology, and Innovation Policy, which will propel productivity and improve industry competitiveness to support faster growth, create jobs, and improve health, education, security, and governance, will be tabled in this parliamentary year. On December 1, 2021, the Information Commissioner assumed office under the Data Protection Act 2020. Additionally, the members of the Data Protection Oversight Committee were appointed for 3 years with effect from December 1, 2021. The operationalization of the Data Protection Act is critical to the implementation of the National Identification System. With the appointment of the Commissioner, the sections of the Act relating to the Office of the Information Commissioner were brought into force, signaling that full compliance with the legislation will commence on December 1, 2023. The pandemic has made the rollout of national broadband even more urgent and critical. The government has been expanding its broadband footprint with the intention to connect over 100 educational institutions to the government's emergency broadband network. This will facilitate faster internet access for teachers and students in schools where there is high demand for bandwidth. Additionally, all parish courts and municipal corporations will be connected to the network via fiber, thereby improving the communication among these entities and other ministries, departments, and agencies. The government continues to take actions to redefine the energy and technology landscape and has developed a strategic framework to guide the introduction of electric vehicles in Jamaica. An electric vehicle council has been established that will oversee the implementation of the framework. Decarbonization in the energy sector through the introduction of renewable energy combined with the electrification of the transportation sector represent critical drivers to reducing Jamaica's carbon footprint. During financial year 2021-2022, the government continued to execute a range of policies and activities to further develop and maintain Jamaica's trade and foreign relations in pursuit of national recovery and development goals. These efforts were instrumental in acquiring donations valued at more than 370 million Jamaican dollars in support of Jamaica's COVID-19 response and recovery efforts. The government continues to leverage its relationship at the bilateral, regional, and multilateral levels, and with the diaspora, to secure further support. The government passed the Authentication Foreign Public Documents Act in 2020 and implemented the new, more cost-effective and simplified process of authenticating public documents intended for use overseas and foreign documents to be used in Jamaica. This will increase our global connectivity and make it easier to do business. In keeping with the government's priority to strengthen and expand the global network of honorary consuls, 3 new consulates in Africa and 1 in Europe were opened. 7 new honorary investments advisors and special envoys were also appointed. The government continues to advance the inclusive and sustainable economic growth agenda through the National Foreign Trade Policy and the Economic Diplomacy Program. This includes securing funding for the review and development of a market strategy for the EU coffee market, a new arrangement to expand exports of West Indies Sea Island cotton, and the generation of trade and investment leads in the several critical areas. The 60th anniversary of Jamaica's independence and the establishment of diplomatic relations with the United States of America provide a fitting context for advancing the process of clearing the name of the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Jamaica's first national hero. To that end, the government will utilize the avenues available to intercede with the government of the United States of America, building on past and existing efforts to lift the stain of his wrongful conviction. Members, no society can fully bring peace, opportunity, and prosperity to its people without a good justice system. The restorative justice program was able to divert 80% of cases referred to it by the courts, and approximately 12,378 persons benefited from the sensitization sessions and the program. The Victim Support Division was able to provide face-to-face and virtual counseling sessions, court support, and other services to 4,358 victims of crime to help them heal from emotional trauma. Additionally, the Child Diversion Program provided access by various health professionals to over 315 children. From a legislative standpoint, the Judicature Parish Courts Amendment Act 2021 and the Judicature Appellate Jurisdiction Amendment Act 2021 were passed, thereby getting right of appeal to the prosecution in criminal proceedings in the parish court and also in the Supreme Court. The government will continue to promote the use of mediation instead of litigation to resolve disputes, avoid community conflicts, and reduce the burden on the court system. At the same time, it will continue to expand the justice infrastructure, including its drive to improve access and the use of technology. Accordingly, the Manchester Family Court was completed and handed over to the judiciary in December 2021 and had its first sitting in January 2022. The St. Anne Family Court, which is practically completed, is being outfitted to be fully equipped with the relevant technology to facilitate remote hearings and is due to be handed over to the judiciary before the end of this fiscal year. Honorable members, with the creation of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, focused attention will be given to the government's legislative agenda and to legal and constitutional reform. The creation of this new ministry may be regarded as the first serious attempt by any government to holistically revisit the legal and constitutional infrastructure of Jamaica in 60 years. It has a major task. 1, to reform the laws of Jamaica. 2, to start the process of reviewing the Constitution. And 3, the process to shift Jamaica's status as a constitutional monarchy. One critical piece of legislation in need of reform is the Bail Act. New provisions will be enacted in relation to the grant or denial of bail, and related matters. Honorable members, the second government-owned shelter to house victims of gender-based violence has been opened. This shelter will support the first shelter, which has to date hosted 12 families, including 15 children. The government supported our Olympians and Paralympians for Tokyo 2020 through the Athletes Assistance Program, which provided similar financial support through a monthly stipend totaling approximately $24 million to all 87 athletes who were preparing for the Games. This propelled our fantastic athletes to win 4 gold, 1 silver, and 4 bronze medals, and we now have the fastest woman alive in the world. Cabinet has approved the recommended amendments to the Domestic Violence Act, and drafting instructions have been issued. The amendments are expected to be passed in Parliament in this legislative year. The implementation of the proposed Entertainment, Culture and Creative Industries Act is to benefit from technical and funding support under the framework of the EU UNESCO Expert Facility on the governance of culture in developing countries. This will lead to the development, streamlining, and safeguarding of our indigenous entertainment, cultural, and creative industries. The government provided $90 million in grants to approximately 2,000 practitioners as well as organizations in the cultural, creative, and entertainment sectors to cushion the devastating impact of the pandemic. Jamaica 60 presents us with an opportunity to achieve significant transformation of Jamaica and the spirit of our people through the development of major physical infrastructure projects across a wide spectrum spanning sports, culture, health, education, some of which will be completed during this year. Jamaica continues to be at the forefront of efforts to promote resilience in the region. In November 2021, we hosted the historic 7th Regional Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction in the Americas and the Caribbean. This regional platform, for the first time, held a youth forum, which will be a feature for future platforms. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, continued to play a central role in the national COVID-19 response through its monitoring and assessment of compliance. The government continues to equip the fire service to adequately respond to emergencies. The Jamaica Fire Brigade completed the purchase of 30 fire trucks in 2021. For the fiscal year 2022-2023, the government will be embarking on the implementation of an integrated rural development program to modernize rural communities while improving infrastructure and services. Greater emphasis will be placed on social protection with the organization and the expansion and the construction of indigent houses. Legislative priorities for the coming year includes finalizing the Human Services Bill, the National Solid Waste Amendment Bill, and regulations related to the National Solid Waste Management Authority and the Building Enforcement of Notices and Orders regulations. The regulations to accompany the Road Traffic Act were recently tabled in Parliament. They include far-reaching changes to make our roads safer for all and improve public safety and order. In the upcoming fiscal year, the government will focus on the full implementation of the new Island Traffic Authority as a statutory body mandated to carry out the provisions of the Road Traffic Act 2018. The authority will continue to implement technological and strategic initiatives to enhance their efficiency and effectiveness. Additionally, the National Minerals Policy will be repositioned and implemented to include establishing the National Minerals Institute and diversification of the minerals portfolio through the exploitation of non-bauxite mineral resources such as limestones and precious stones. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to highlight the importance of comprehensive programs that cater to the most vulnerable. During financial year 2021-2022, a social pension program was introduced targeting persons 75 years and over. To date, approximately 7,000 persons have been registered and another 13,000 persons are being targeted to receive benefits under the program. During the year, the government benefited from a renewed partnership with the UN World Food Programme, a grant agreement that saw the donation of 10,950 food packages and US $1.5 million to aid the government's COVID relief efforts was signed. Approximately $2 billion was spent to provide additional COVID relief, grants, and otherwise to 195,000 families through the Serve Jamaica program. Beneficiaries of the Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH, NIS, and social pensioners were targeted for assistance. The Special Subcommittee of the Labour Advisory Council, established in December 2020 to assess the impact of the pandemic on Jamaica's labour market, completed its work in June 2021. The subcommittee cited immediate steps for recovery that included embracing digitization and retooling, as well as legislative actions to address the new demands of the world of work. The implementation of unemployment insurance is among key recommendations, and work on its feasibility will be advanced in the upcoming year. The implementation of a series of reform measures that began in 2018 has resulted in a net surplus in the National Insurance Fund's operations and an overall improvement in its long-term sustainability. As at November 2021, the unaudited net asset value of the National Insurance Fund stands at approximately $136 billion, representing a year-over-year growth at a rate of approximately 12%. Honorable members, The government remains focused on building our Jamaica a place of peace, opportunity, and prosperity. That is the Jamaica we all want, the Jamaica we all deserve. A Jamaica where we have equitable access to quality education and training. A Jamaica where we have efficient and reliable infrastructure and services. A Jamaica where we have access to timely and quality health care. A Jamaica where our unique environmental and cultural assets are preserved. A Jamaica where entrepreneurial and creative talents thrive. A Jamaica where we are safe and secure. A Jamaica where people choose us as their destination of choice. A Jamaica where all citizens are positive contributors to our society and love, nurture, protect, and support each other. We are empowering our people, securing their peace, providing them with opportunities, and investing in their prosperity. Thank you.
targeted for the new social pension program. And you know, as Jamaicans, we like being first. Theodore, we are pioneers. So on February 17 at the World Expo in Dubai, Jamaica will, in partnership with the global tourism entity, launch the first Global Tourism Resilience Day, and this will be observed annually.
Just 2 more points from our outtakes. Decarbonization of the energy sector, renewable energy. The government is very climate aware and they are ensuring to underline that. Also, let me mention that the restorative justice program, we were told in the throne speech, was able to divert 80% of cases referred to it by the courts, and approximately 12,378 persons benefited from sensitization sessions about the program.
And as you are on the Ministry of Justice, Theodore, the child diversion program, which seeks to get children in conflict with the law out of the formal justice system, the Ministry of Justice plans to advance the child diversion program this fiscal year.
Absolutely. It has been our pleasure to bring you coverage of the 2022 ceremonial opening of Parliament. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. My name is Theodore Henry.
And I'm Lorraine Mendez. And we invite you to return this afternoon for the sitting of the House of Representatives, where the Finance Minister will table the 2022-2023 estimates of expenditure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Have a pleasant day.